Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about climate. In one of my earlier videos, I discussed sea level fraud at Climate Central. In this video, I discussed their fraudulent claims about U.S. heat. Climate Central says that the U.S. was overwhelmingly hot in 2016, and they blame carbon dioxide emissions. They say it was the second hottest year on record in the U.S. and want you to believe that reducing CO2 emissions prevents heat waves. Let's see if their claims are factual. Afternoon temperatures in 2016 averaged seventh warmest since 1895 in the U.S., but it wasn't because the weather was hot, it was because the weather was mild during the cold seasons. The number of 100-degree days in 2016 was actually near a record low in the U.S. These peaked in 1936 and have been declining ever since. The number of U.S. 90-degree days was also below average in 2016 and much lower than the 1930s or the 1950s. These peaked in 1934. The number of 80-degree days was above average in 2016, but below the 1930s and the 1950s. These peaked in 1939. The number of 70-degree days was in the top 10, but these peaked in 1934. The number of 60-degree days was also in the top 10. These peaked in 1921. There's been no change in U.S. summer maximum temperature since 1895. This red line shows the trend. They peaked in the 1930s. Last year was above average, but was not in the top 10. And there's no correlation between atmospheric CO2, shown in the x-axis, and summer maximum temperature, shown in the y-axis. The trend is slightly downwards with an r-squared of 0.002. It means there's no correlation. Additionally, the area of the U.S. affected by hot weather was also near a record low in 2016. The area of the U.S. to reach 100 degrees was near 70% back in the 1930s. It peaked at close to 80% in 1936, but last year was just over 30%, a huge decline. 2016 was not overwhelmingly hot, as Climate Central claimed. Rather, it was a very mild year with warm temperatures during the colder season, but there was a minimal amount of hot weather, and there's no correlation between summer heat and atmospheric CO2. Visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com. He's been pulling back the curtain on junk science for a long time.